Oh, mic's up. Look at that. I should be louder than this, even though it's very loud. You know what? Skip track. There we go. Let's go with that. Alright. How you folks doing? Cody with Ironverse Comics. Doing another coffee, Cody and Comics. Didn't want to miss you guys this week. Almost did. Don't tend to, I don't know. There's phases, right? There's phases. I know this particular show does not have a set schedule, so that's just kind of how it goes. Different weeks are different things. Actually got and need the coffee today, too, so that's excellent. Hope you people are doing well. Title of the stream, why the break? Because we did take a break, and what have I learned? Yada yada. We'll get into that. We're going to sit and hang for a few. Let me talk about what else I was doing this week before we dive into the meat and potatoes of it all. Let me look. Very confusing. Sorry, checking things. Yeah. Alright. Interesting. Alright, so part of the break is work's been kind of insane. Focus. Stay focused. I don't look my best today, but it'll work. Don't need to look, don't need to smear Vaseline on the lens to make them look younger. So, anywho, work's been kind of a pain. Love it, but I don't know, this last weekend in particular was a tough couple days. Monday was good. Monday was good. It was the start of a kind of a refresh around this place. Cut a lot of trees that needed to be cut. Did some yard cleaning and stuff. And then the rest of the week was all rainy, which was great. Just good flow of things to happen there. So I've been grateful for that. But it's been busy. It's been busy every day. But finally made some time here. I don't know how long I'll be here today. I think I got at most 2 hours. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't even know if I have that much content for this stream. But I wanted to catch up. I wanted to make sure you folks know I'm still around. One way or another, even if it's just on this small channel here. No current updates with the Jack campaign. A couple new backers, which it had been a while, so that was nice. But no direct forward progress to share today. I'm assuming Maxie's working hard to finish up Kids and Monsters at the moment, and he's kind of trying to alternate those two projects. And honestly, his production output can always kind of be sporadic. It's just the nature of his beast, which is probably why it works well with what I do, because I'm also very sporadic. But nonetheless, it has little hiccups, right? Little things that aren't optimal. I haven't dove into the lettering script yet. And I'm still trying to figure out if I want to share that through Patreon or on here, or if I just keep it to myself because of spoilers and such. We'll see. I got time to figure that out. Last time we were here on this Triple C show, we did talk about the fact that I got the sketch cards in, so I'm going to try and start getting at least one of those done a week. here pretty soon. So look forward to that. I need to do that. I think I could probably do two to a stream, which would make things a little bit more optimal time wise. But we'll see. We'll see how it needs to be done. Um, so that's the next approach on there. Um, Reconnected with a fella who's interested in sponsoring me going to at least the New Mexico cons. I'm gonna miss this Albuquerque one, the Duke City Comic Con. Most likely, I just can't plan it quick enough. Sucks, but sure would be nice to make it out even just as a guest for a few, because that's at least within driving distance, right? Um, oh, we'll see. We'll see. And then the other thing is Santa Fe Comic Con, which is in October, and that one's actually, if I get my shit together, that one's possible. Issue is I won't have product, so it kind of becomes like, well, I'm there. Like, I don't have many New Mexico fans as far as I'm aware. Um, Great to reach out and stuff, but if you can't provide the book, so that's been one of my main hesitancies, is there is like no print run for me to distribute in that fashion, which would make a lot of difference. So I don't know. That one's out towards October, so maybe I can work something out with my publisher so I can at least get something to do there to make an appearance, because that would be great. I would really love to do some cons. And the fact that I've got somebody willing to sponsor me is really cool. So we'll see. We'll see what'll work out. I'd hate to drop that opportunity. Otherwise, though, that was Wednesday. Monday, in addition to all that crazy ass like 6 hours of yard work, which was very necessary, I spoke to another individual who I respect greatly for their work ethic and the folks they work with, for a good chunk of time, just to figure out some stuff about this environment, and just so I kind of knew what was going on from their perspective as well. That was neat. Just a good talk. But what it primarily reinforced to me is that there is very little ways around the inbuilt ugliness in business, and particularly the comics flavor of it. And even more particularly this indie bit of it, where it's kind of every man for themselves except. So I don't know. That was interesting. That was a long one. I have like one phone call every couple months. I'm not a very popular individual. So that was kind of a interesting connection. I'm happy to have it, but it was again, it just reinforced like what I kind of already knew, that sucks, and I have no idea how to alter the environment so that it's better, because nobody should have to deal with that. But it is what it is. And then otherwise, we can get into the main topic, which is why the break. Part of it was I've been getting my ass kicked emotionally, physically, and just like with the work situation. Second reason is because I've been keeping my head down. There's a lot of reasons to keep my head down, but there's the primary reason is, again, when I'm feeling like that, there's no need to dive into shit I couldn't handle at that level, right? Not my monkeys, not my circus kind of deal. But also, just like being that that beat, even if I wanted to, it's not optimal. I knew something was up. There we go. There we go. That's much easier on me. Very loud for this morning. But I've also been I've been reading like crazy. I usually go through phases. I'll go through a gaming phase, I'll go through a watching phase, and then I'll go through a reading phase. And this last, month and a half has been a reading phase. I've read, I think, about 400 chapters of One Piece. I've read 40 chapters of Inuyasha. I've read 20 volumes of Berserk. I only read about one chapter of Akira. Again, this translation where they flipped it. I spoke about that last week, I think. It's so difficult to read. But been reading a lot, and the One Piece has been like the primary bit. Like, I have been able to tear through that. It's been endlessly entertaining. I am just blown away. So I've been trying to understand and reconcile what I can feasibly do as a creator with what I've done already, with the path I've walked and the knowledge I've earned already, and reconcile that with the type of storytelling and the kind of story I really want to tell. Jack Iron Steel Cowboy as a series, I love it. I adore it. It's been the stories I've needed to tell. There's at least 2 more chapters of that to tell before I really want to hit something a bit different. So I don't know. That's been the big thing I've been doing. Just so very much reading. I'm still waiting for a really dud chapter of One Piece, or at least arc. There's been some dumb chapters, but usually it was like a comedic break after a long serious bit, so he just makes something really stupid, like the Foxy Pirates mini arc. That was just dumb, but it's so fun. So there's just weird, like, I'm looking at somebody who this has been their life, basically every day, 13, 14 hours a day, for almost 30 years. I'm trying to reconcile that with what I'm capable of and what I'm able to do. Trying to find the precision in which I can manifest work I need to within my means, while still growing. And so that's been a big one. So the main thing I'm trying to learn is these storytelling beats that Oda in particular is able to hit over long periods of time, and trying to figure out how to condense the fulfillment of that into smaller cycles, but not, again, the chapters of that are much shorter, because of that weekly schedule, and it's because it's combined in a bunch of other stuff, right? It's a different format, very different format, so I'm trying to reconcile, like, the fulfillment of that work. When you read the East Blue arc, right? Then you go into the Baroque work arc, and that's when things start actually really building. You get the crew together by about the end of that, and then the Water 7 arc is basically nothing but beautiful character build-up and fulfillment, with a wonderful crescendo on a rebirth cycle, basically, of what he was doing that whole time. And that's where I've taken a break now, is about the Water 7, end of the Water 7 arc. They just got the Thousand Sunny. And I'm trying to reconcile how he walked so far in that period of time, but it had been, like, it took about a decade to get there. When he's producing this once a week, which is not feasible, on my perspective, right? It's just, I admire the fulfillment and payoff that he's been able to do within that structure, and I would like to augment it to fit closer to what I'm capable of in my means, which would likely be lesser. But it doesn't matter if it's lesser, it just matters if it's what I need to tell, how I want to tell it, and that fulfills me as a creator and hopefully fulfills the readers. And so that's been a big one. That's been a big one. I think a lot of my work's hindrances come from my near humorless approach to life in general. Everything's so damn serious, and even when I inject levity into the work, it's not like it doesn't, like, my work won't make me laugh like Oda's work makes him laugh. I can just, not only does he say it in the author notes in between volumes, and I think it's every couple chapters, it was the playfulness of his letter column, the SBS, for instance, that gives a little bit of an insight on how he thinks and interacts with the fans. And I don't know. Do I want to be the next Oda or something like that? No, because I couldn't do that, and nobody else could do that. But at the same time, there's a lot to learn and appreciate there that I would love to, again, augment my own special flavor of work with. But it's more difficult. It's more difficult because of who I am and where I find my work. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But that's kind of where I've been digging. I think I'll dive back into Battle Angel Alita soon. I need to take a break on One Piece. I'm waiting for some volumes to come in. So I went back to trying to finish Inuyasha. And I did phrase it that way specifically because after reading One Piece, the fulfillment in Inuyasha is much, much, much lesser. Though the art style I find less like... It doesn't work your brain as hard. Which I think in its case, it works very well for it. Oda with his insanity on character design and setting design, basically his design work period throughout all of that is I can definitely see, and it turned me off when I was a kid, that it can be very ugly because of how jarring everything is, but if you sit with it and ride with it, you get what it's doing. Whereas Takahashi's work is beautiful and light and graceful the whole time. Even when it's horrible, it's still very graceful. So it's a very different experience. Oh, I also read the latest reprint omnibus release of Shaman King. That was the other thing. And this one, it was a good omnibus. I think it was, 25 through 27, I think. They're back to the tournament, but they're doing more of what I was hoping they do, which is fleshing things out in the past and the future and trying to combine them. They're doing what it should be doing more of because it's what it was better at than staple shonen tournament arc stuff. So that's been really good, actually. I've been really appreciating that because sometimes Shaman King can miss the mark pretty hard, but the last 6 volumes or so, 9, maybe even 9 volumes have been actually pretty goddamn good. I gotta dive into some Western comics again too here soon. Figure out, because that's the key, is when I can recognize when both expressions of this medium excel at, and I'm able to hopefully puzzle together what can work for me from both expressions. Hopefully I'll have a more fulfilling work for everybody involved, not just myself or the art team or that, but the readers as well and the backers. That's a big one. And so I'm still working. I have the opening scene of the next step in what I'm doing for Ironverse Comics already in mind, which means I'm on the right path. It took like no effort to move to that, which I think is a very good sign for myself, because a lot of things take a lot of effort for me to fulfill on. But we got a while to get there. It could be very quick. It could be a couple years. I would like it to be much sooner than that, because things are not getting easier for anybody. But we'll see. There's a few Phoenix kind of arcs going on in my space, and I'm very grateful to see them. Some are handling them better than others. And I'm just hopeful that it's a net positive all around. Whether the rebirth is simply a learning experience that then needs to be repeated, right? Or if it's an actual change of groove into something more, which is what I'm hoping to do with my particular expression. What I've realized, and I spoke about this I think last week, particularly with my works, there's just not enough time to do my work how I've wanted to do it, how I previously wanted to do it. It's terribly inefficient. I'm wanting to tell a story that could be, 70 or 80 years worth of content. Not only is that exceedingly arrogant, it is unfeasible. So I've looked at, again, so I've been studying One Piece in particular because it is the kind of story that I wish to tell. It handles it more playfully. It handles it for a larger audience than mine would work. It handles it in a very specific way, and it's been doing it for decades. And that also I'm recognizing, like, I don't even have those decades to do it, and that's decades week by week. I can't do that. So I'm trying to find a way, and there's a couple different ways to do it. I can try and fund graphic novel volume size entries in this, which would be excellent if I can get, 100. Oda had said about the average for what they call a graphic novel over there is about 184 pages. So between 100 and 200, 180 to 200 pages a year, I think is very feasible. But it would be very, very, very expensive. And so I'm trying to figure out what can work that way. And I haven't come to it. But I think there's a path to get something closer. I do fat single issues, because that's feasible at the moment. And I could still do that with this next, whatever this next thing is. But I don't know. So I've got to continue studying, continue figuring out what could work. And then when I hit this, I've got to hit it with the most intent and structure I've hit anything I've ever done. Because from what I've seen, that's you do that and you commit to it. You stay flexible within that. You learn from your experiences as you're producing. To guide your ship, right? But at the end of the day, you still have to have that massive guiding star. And I've had that, and I think that guiding star is just leading to a different sea at the moment, right? We're crossing a border here soon enough, and I want to make sure I honor and be able to learn from it. So we'll see, folks. That's kind of where it's been. I would like to soon do another trailer. We need another update trailer for a bunch of different stuff. I'd love to reinvigorate the campaign somehow, because it basically went boom last day and then just slam dropped in terms of hype, which is kind of what it was doing beforehand, right? It only had hype because it was about to fail, and that's the other bit too, is I got to figure out how to consistently produce a work. And I'm thinking I need to find an artist that I can afford to partner with weekly to at least put out something every week. Which would be this. No, there's a couple different things. Would either be this other idea I have. I'll get back to him in a few. Sorry if you hear this, folks. Can I just get it to shut up? There we go. Cool. So yeah. I don't have much else to hit today. I don't have a chat today either, so I think I might leave it here shortly. There was one other thing I guess we can talk about, but it might get me salty where I shouldn't be salty publicly. I should very much be salty about it, but like it would be unprofessional to be salty about it publicly. But I don't know. I'm very curious, and it makes sense. To be fair, but I don't know. Maybe we'll check this out. Might be useful to you folks. No, I guess that's 15 minutes. That's why. Okay. Let me get back to this guy at least via text, and then I'll be with you folks, and we'll dive into this other thing I had. Are you gonna bring up a keyboard? Thank you. I have such a crap phone. Okay. Mainly just wanted to catch up, let you folks know I'm still around. Still here. Sunday was a hard day too. Part of the reason why I've been taking a break. I just I didn't want to miss a week of not connecting with you folks. We actually got a few more subs recently, which has been great. We're almost at 320, which is killer. I'm very grateful for anybody who checks out these things. I might say it's pretty cruddy, but I put a lot of effort into trying to create a relatively neat space, learning how to use these tools, and I think I could create a very, very cool space if folks were around to utilize it. I've got one thing in the air I'm very excited about if it came out, and I would do my best wholeheartedly for it, but a good chance it won't work out, but at least it was acknowledged. Still looking for work in terms of like outside editorial, comic scripting, article writing, anything to boost income a little bit. Because that would be, that's the only thing really standing in my way right now is capital, which stands in so many people's way. It's kind of stupid to say that. It's a duh. But there's a lot of stuff I would love to do. A lot of stuff I'd love to do. And if I can get one page out a week on something content-wise, I think that could be really cool. But to do that, I need to bring on another artist. I could spend the next, over half decade practicing and learning how to draw and be very fulfilled about it, and then be able to do something. But then I'll be in my 40s, and I'd have to do it every single day, which again, very possible. But I wish I had that dedication. So instead, writing, I can do that. Once a week, pop out a one-page script of something kind of neat. I think I can do that. And I'd like to do that, but I need an artist that I can partner with and is willing to produce that regularly. And at the same time, I need to be able to put it out regularly, right? So we'll see. We'll see. There's got an idea. That might work. But I need it to be fleshed out. I need the artist attached before I do that. But if I could... I need a letter or two. Be black and white. Whatever this weekly thing is. It'd be a no-brainer, black and white. I bet I could get that to work. I can letter, but I'm not that good at it. I have somebody in mind. Maybe I can get to letter. Oh, okay. I got excited. Mulling. See, this is what I like. Is I'm an overthinker, but sometimes it's helpful, because it'll reach deep into the archives and be like, oh. So I just need to... I think that would be doable. Oh, man. I need to find the right person. Alright. So, anybody watches us this far, if you're an artist and you're interested in working with me on one page every week, never missing any of that, get a hold of me. And let me know. There's some very cool artists that watch this channel, and I'm very appreciative. If your rate is relatively reasonable, we could probably kick up pretty good if this idea that was proposed to me can be altered to this. But it's got to be, quality, striking artwork. And you've got to be able to work with my scripting process.
General Piggy.
Howdy!
Said. Salutations, my friend.
Welcome, General Piggy. First person to say howdy today. Salutations indeed, and welcome. So you missed most of everything, which is fine. A lot of yammering and thinking out loud, which is most of my life. But welcome, and thank you for your consistent support on our work. I'm very grateful for it. I hope, if you haven't read our work already, that when it reaches you in a readable form, you find it of value and of worth your time. That's the big one. Art, the main thing it asks from the consumer of it, the observer of it, right, is time, and that's a very high price. So I hope we produce something relatively worth that irreplaceable investment. Alrighty. So we're gonna do the other thing, though. You did arrive for that. You did arrive just in time for that. So we're gonna talk about this, and I'm kind of curious because there are some publishers that were certainly omitted from this. So let's check this out. Still need a button to just turn this on. It would be a lot better. I could do it. I'm just lazy. All right. So now a lot of people have different opinions from this fella. I don't care. My main point is he is out there supporting independent comics. It might not be your spectrum of them, whatever. This fella's still out there doing it. It's another voice out there. If people actually enjoy and have fun with it, then that's another bastion of independent comics, and I'm happy to have it out there. Nonetheless, there's reasons why, in particular, that this guy reached out to certain publishers. There's one in particular, I wish wasn't on this list because of how, I'll be honest about how horrendous they are as a publisher. But otherwise, let's go ahead. Oh, horrendous equals that, huh? Skip track. Oh, we'll go back to this funky one again. I like this track. Now let's start a new rotation of random. There you go, this'll work. There's nothing big. So, I caught this, I don't know, 10 minutes before I was streaming. And I was just like, I wonder who's on here. And so we're going to find out who's on here. There's a couple I actually haven't heard of, but most of them I've heard of, and one of them, again, I really wish wasn't on this list, because I don't believe they're still functioning, but if they are and you were to join in them, then you will be meat. is the best way to put it. You will be fucking meat. Anyway, this is the 2022 Independent Comic Book Publishers Audit. Loads of independent publishers, comics on scene. Yes, absolutely. It's hard to keep up with the kind of content each publishes, who has open submissions, what kind of contracts each offer, and other important information creators want to know. It's fair. Like, that's a service, right? So I guess I will frame this. You know what? I'm not going to frame it. I actually have a wonderful buddy who framed it perfectly. So let me grab that real quick, because I bookmarked that shit because he framed it perfectly. Because it is 100% true. Let me see if I can find this. So let me qualify this first. Because I'm very anti-system to begin with. But this is true. So this is from wonderful folk at Tonic Comics, Tonic Mole. Being published is pointless if you don't make any money. Yep. If a publisher can't provide you a living wage from your comic, then tell them to fuck off and self-publish. It's very true. In my experience. Being able to say I'm published is worth Jack and shit, and Jack just left town. So yeah, he phrased it perfectly. So that's what I'm going to phrase this as. So that's the framing of all this, okay? So I don't think any of these publishers can provide you a living wage from your work. I think that is a unicorn within comics, period. That includes mainstream comics, because comics itself pays like shit, and it's very expensive. Versus like the effort that's put into it, and you know, some folks, some mainstream publishers, it ain't that expensive for them because of what they can offer otherwise. Like, if you're not selling about 10,000 units, you're probably not making enough to live off of. Though the publisher is probably at that level, probably paying for the production of the work. So it's all right. Unless you're going to Image or somebody like that, where they're like, well, you know, if we're going to print this, you got to earn us enough to cover the print cost, and then we'll start paying you. But you own your IP, right? So you get those unicorn deals. You'll be good. Yay. Anyway, publishing in independent comics is, for lack of a better word, unnecessary. 100% unnecessary. I recommend, and I said this last week, I believe as well, that any independent comic creator, especially if you do crowdfunding and you have been doing basically everything a publisher does yourself already, and you've been learning that, you do not need a publisher unless they can do a few key things for you. The first one is increase awareness of your work, hopefully via in-store distribution. That's a biggie, but you gotta weigh, like, at what cost. Two, through, again, more awareness via brand recognition with their brand, their IP basically, but their brand, alongside whatever marketing end that they have, which again, even up in the mainstream, barely exists, if it exists at all. Three, can handle the legal bits for you, which is kind of a biggie, and you got to watch that as well. Or four, provide you a framework in any manner in which allows you to continue doing your work. A lot of these publishers will not do, I don't know, 4 out of those 6. Most do not have any real social media presence. Most on here don't have any real marketing, like, chutzpah, in terms of, like, whatever they put out tends to not get a bunch of grab on social media. Doesn't mean they don't sell units. That's the nice thing about having distribution deals, and that's one of the things that they can do for you that's much harder to do as a fully independent creator. So there's a couple things there, but anywho, as Tonk Mole said, you know, there's no real reason to do it, because at the end of the day, I think any comic creator should be able to have experience in every facet of the creation process, so you know when you're being taken advantage of, you know what you're capable of and what you're not capable of, you know what your team's capable of and what they're not capable of, and you just are able to sail your own ship before you hook it up to another bigger, possibly disingenuous ship. So with all that fun framework, let's look at these publishers. So Mr. Yeti here, over 21, 22, which was, there was quite an explosion of folks making comics in that period. He interviewed some comic publishers to collect this kind of information. So this is a promotional piece for these publishers. Keep that in mind as well. So they have 6 disclaimers. So let's check out that. Unless otherwise noted, all the information comes from the publishers themselves, which means it's biased. Readers should be discerning. Each contact from each, yep. What they say is important, but so is how they say it and what they don't say. Very smart. In every case, consider the speaker's reasons for what they share and the manner in which they share it. Particularly, I think the last publisher they put on here, which I don't think should have been involved. They should be disgraced at this point and kept out of the industry. And I don't say that lightly. As stated, these interviews were conducted over a year, and the information subject to change exactly, depending on when you're reading this. The below information, yep, exactly. They tried to standardize it so that you can understand each of the publisher by the same information. That makes sense. They couldn't get everybody, so exactly. Some are so new, or they haven't delivered many of their comics yet. Others didn't respond. So again, they might have missed some. And that's what I'm saying. There's going to be quite a few not on this list. Big one, as with any publisher in signing any contract, protect yourselves, hire a lawyer if you can, and always strive for honesty and clarity. That's a big one. Particularly, I mean, the first one, very important, but this one will get you into a lot of trouble. So make sure it is very clear for all parties before you move forward on anything. They cut any word of mouth or gossip shared, as well as editorial opinions. Be sure they were whatever. Publishers, if you have corrections, blah blah blah. And then, of course, if you want to support Yeti, there you go. Here's a link to the article. Let me drop that in the chat, just so folks can look at it themselves. Check out the links and whatever else they include. So I think I've seen these guys once. I have no idea any titles under their banner. So, Band of Bards, I think I've seen one, but they have an interview, and they got a follow-up interview as well. They want to authentically represent groups of people who have not been properly represented in the comics format in the past, which I'm assuming is minority stories and groups telling their stories, which is wonderful. We need those tales out there. In fact, more so these days, I think, even though the perspective is we're being bludgeoned corporately by this. So it's a weird one, but nonetheless, every person who wants to share their stories and is capable of doing it deserves to. And that's all I'm going to say. Aims to find a balance between individual issues, one-shots, original graphic novels, and continuing series, depending on the creator's vision of the work. Well, that's nice. They listen to creators and adjust their ways of doing business accordingly, and trying to avoid the pitfalls other publishers may fall into. Well, you would hope everybody's doing that. That doesn't say much. They have big plans to further differentiate, evolving themselves in the comic industry in the future. If they could say anything about that, I'd give it credence. But otherwise, it's just talk, and every publisher has plenty to talk about. It's the doing that matters. Hopes to shine more of a spotlight on creators than other publishers do. That'd be nice. However, as far as I'm aware, every publisher kind of just relies, especially in independent comics, just kind of relies on the creators to sell their own books. That one bugs the hell out of me, but it's very true. So we'll see. They would like to publish light novels as well as comics. Yeah, a lot of publishers are thinking that way just because it's a lot cheaper. Relies on crowdfunding. So far, yes, but would like to get away from that in the future. Recently switched to Zoop from Kickstarter after the Kickstarter blockchain controversy. So you can see that they are willing to take stands on things, which isn't always the best, but can happen. I would not work with Zoop. I don't like Zoop, but that's me personally. for submissions. So yeah, if you want to submit, go for it, and own 100% of their IP. That one's important, especially if you're doing independent comics. There's basically very few reasons I would sell any stake in the IP to any of these publishers. And the last one we're going to talk about again is the cautionary tale for it, and there's plenty of videos on why you avoid this particular publisher. But these guys, I don't know. I don't know their history. I don't know any of their titles. So let's go ahead and check that out. Let's go ahead and check out their website and see if any of the titles rings a bell for me. Because I would like to think I'm pretty well burrowed into independent comics, and so I hear a little bit of everything. Like I said, I think I have heard these guys before, but. Recognize? No?
Delicate KRT.
Hey, Delicate.
Said, oh my Cody, are you spilling tea?
Spilling tea? No, I don't believe so. First part was talking about plans and what I've been diving into creatively and what I'm thinking about pivoting towards and all that fun stuff. Basically, what the bit of it, what have I learned? So I discussed that the first, 40 minutes of this, and then now we're on to this article from Compaghetti looking at independent publishers, and I'm giving my thoughts, and we're looking at titles and stuff. So right now we are on Band of Bards, right? They're called Band of Bards Publishing. I don't recognize any of their titles, but they do have open submissions, and so if you want to look at that, you want to look at over here, let's see. We'll say their website kicks the shit out of my publishers, and kicks kind of the shit out of my website too in terms of like modern graphic design. I went very old school with Ironverse Comics. It feels like a 90s like MySpace page, and I actually like that, but at the same time, yeah. Oh, and just I guess a reminder. Very true. This was the framing device for this whole discussion. Anywho, this is it, huh? These are the ongoings, and then there's an anthology, but they don't have any other titles under them. So that's why I haven't heard of them. I'm not aware of any of these folks. I'm also not aware if their titles are distributed or not. That's a massive one. That is a massive one. So I don't know. Check out Band of Bards if you're curious. You want to submit. They seem like another grassroots publisher who's going to try their best. Will they survive or not? I have no idea. But you know what? Worth looking at, checking out. Now we're on to Story Worlds. I don't know these folks either, so we'll open their website, but look at it later. They publish self-contained 64-page graphic novellas with multiple arcs, volumes planned. Okay, so they do the iconic comics model in terms of storytelling. Focusing on diverse, often featuring strong female protagonists. That's not very diverse if it's the same thing, but diversity and homogeny are very quickly becoming the same thing, which means homogeny is winning, but it's being called something else, and that's bothersome. But I get it because it's different. It's not diverse. It's different than what's been put out for like the last 70 years. So that I get that. Awesome. But it ain't diverse if you have a very specific segment, in my opinion. But again, it's the definition of words, right? I get what they're communicating. So the communication was successful. I don't agree with their use of the word in this case, if that's how they're doing it. But whatever. Global stories, which that's another big one, about technology or topics appealing to a broad reading audience. So they're trying to go for the lowest common denominator, which, ouch. I wouldn't say that's a selling point, but they think it is. Okay. Starting with genre, hybrid books, and action, sci-fi, drama, espionage with ensemble casts where possible. They don't do superhero stuff, so that's good to know. Aim for tones that are more positive, cerebral, and escapist than dark, dystopian, and apocalyptic. Okay. Man, what I wanted to comment on that is, but hey, fine, I don't know what they are. Makes a point to offer a wide range of art styles across their titles. We are going to judge that here in a second. Digital-minded and future-facing. Okay. Plans to publish books for younger audiences and some horror adult titles for more. Okay, so they don't rely on crowdfunding. They don't have any open submissions. They pay work for hire flat fee, then keep the book's profits. No royalties from creators unless creator has developed a substantial part of the IP. So they just hire people to create the stories they want to create. They're an imprint at best. More okay. Regularly talks to their lawyers about creating clear contracts to walk the line between concepts of ownership and authorship to ensure clarity and fairness and security for Yeah. Ouch. I don't like this. Like, there's a lot of red flags for this place for me in particular as a creator. That doesn't mean it's not. But let's look at their titles. Diversity of art styles. So far, no. Buy titles. 5 titles. I like that cover. Never heard of these guys. Don't like that cover.
DelaKKRT said, I don't like this either, ish.
I like that cover. The standard work from New Voices was so good. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I don't care about that. Okay. Rope. Oh my god. So, they put the emphasis on the reviews, which were likely coaxed first. And then they actually tell you what it's about. The fact that it's various 3 times means it's most likely more of an anthology series. And this guy has lettered so many books. I think he has me blocked, but he letters so many books, so I'm very, supportive of that guy. There's a lot of creators who get his very solid lettering work. So he's a very hard worker, Mr. Esposito. So that's good on him. This book will be available after their upcoming relaunch. So that doesn't talk about why it had to be relaunched. Did it do so poorly? And it's an anthology, but you can't see any of the pages. You can just see this cover. Okay. But this is the one I wanted to look at, but they didn't sell me. And again, it's just talking. They really are looking to promote themselves over their creators, which I get. That's part of the point. And I'd rather have an aggressive publisher who's willing to support themselves than one that's not willing to support anything, which a lot of independent publishers are. They don't even support themselves. So I appreciate that, but at the same time, ouch, if I was a creator under them. At least this is a consistent creative team, and again, look at who's lettering, Mr. Esposito. You can only get it in Kindle. Comixology barely exists anymore, folks. You better upgrade. But they do have distribution. That's the big one. They do have distribution, so that's good. They don't have open submissions, so don't worry about that. They don't want your IP, they want their IP, so this is not probably for my audience in terms of a publisher to check out. But as a reader, there might be some cool stories here you won't find elsewhere. But nothing. This was the one that I was like, it kind of looks cool. I like the explosive colors on the cover. I like the art style. Oh, it's a line. It's an anthology series. So not the biggest fan of that. Oh, that was a sequel. So there was a book 1 for Fab as well, and that's why the covers are similar. At least that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like them, but this might be for somebody else. And at least one of the cats who work on this, I'm very well aware of because of how prolific his work actually is for what is usually a very overlooked role. But I consistently see him on titles. Consistently. The guy is a hustler and a hard worker. So anytime you can support his work, at least they pay, right? At least they pay you. You're not paying to make the book. So that's neat. But at the same time, yeah, not for me. Not for me, folks. Ahoy! I've seen Ahoy. They produce comedy books. They consider themselves comic magazines instead, huh? Because they add prose content, okay? That's a good one. I like that because most of these independent publishers you'll find are like, we make comics so we can make movies later, which that's another big red flag for me as a creator. I want to make comics. Um, the other stuff is where money is, and I understand that. But as a creator, it's almost an insult that you get into a business so you can get into another business. That's not somebody I want to work with. So these guys, at least, they understand that as well. I like that. I'm happy to keep doing what they're doing, though may launch some content for younger audiences in the future. They don't rely on crowdfunding. They don't open submissions. It's rare that we have more than 4 projects running at once, so those seats get filled pretty fast. However, some creators may be able to get their work into their anthologies, and they're always looking for prose and poetry. Oh, that's nice. They didn't talk about that. So that's good to know. They might be one of those, well, we get your work printed. And that's... but anywho, again, that's nothing that you couldn't do for yourself as a creator. TKO, I like their stuff. I like how they run their business. I like the unique way that they approached it and exploded onto the scene. I haven't liked many of their titles since the first run. That's the best I can say about it from my personal experience. But like it's a publisher that I would like to continue to support because they've been very consistent. Larger than average comics stand out on a shelf and offer a sort of IMAX. They are one of those publishers, though, producing works to produce movies. The guy who created it comes from film. That's what he does, Si Chun. So keep that in mind as well. Like, they don't make comics to make comics. They make comics to make film and TV series, which, as far as I'm aware, they have not been successful at yet. But they do produce a quality product that is larger than average. I have about 3 of their titles behind me. Sarah, Goodnight Paradise, and 7 Deadly Sins, I think it's called. I have not finished 7 Deadly. Even being a Western, it's not my kind of Western. It's very, very ugly. And I'm not involved with the characters to be enough to wade through that ugliness. I'm a big Berserk fan. That is the ugliest piece of sequential art I've checked out. Besides Innocent Blood, Innocent and Innocent Blood, but I am infatuated with the characters in Berserk. 7 Deadly Sins did not pull that off. Anywho, they offer single issues floppies, but releases them all at once in a box set, offering a trade paperback version at the same time. Yes, I did like that as well. Comics can be any genre, but they don't do superheroes, which is interesting. It is okay giving creative teams extra time to do their best work on a book. Well, that's good. Curated quality over quantity approach to the line, which is good. Distribution deal with these folks and more to help get their titles into bookstores, which is nice. Believes in highlighting new voices, especially those who have been historically excluded, which is a better way of phrasing what those what SW publishers were talking about and how they phrased it. This is a much better way of phrasing that. They don't crowdfund. Nope. And they don't take pitches, only by invitation only, which is fine. They don't talk about any of that. Sources who wish to remain off the records tell us are paid a flat rate up front, and the publisher retains rights to their IP. Because again, they're looking to make the movie money, not the comic money. But it looks like it might be an individual basis. Like Jeff Lemire, for instance, has worked for them on Sentient, which was a very successful title for them. Garth Ennis worked for him, right? I'm sure those kind of folks can get a little bit more cream on top than say these new voices they're talking about. So keep that in mind. But again, they don't open, so you don't expect much. Why is the stream playlist not working? Okay, now it is. Scout! Okay, I have a smaller history with Scout, and one of my creative teams has an ongoing with them. Main differentiators claims they have established themselves as a pipeline to major studios and producers for some of their... That's the first thing they hit. Ouch! Ripe for development in TV, film, digital, mobile, VR, and video games. Our sources say this is true. Doesn't matter if you have the connection if you can't get it done. So I'm very curious the first thing they can actually get done via that. Doesn't matter if you talk people and they say, oh, yeah, and then nothing happens. But again, they're not out to make comics for comics' sake. They're out to make comics so they can make money via other adaptations, which is... So comics never made comics for money for comics. It never has. It's always been merchandise or film, right? So I get it. And that they're open and transparent about that is great. Just sucks. If you look at manga is made for manga so that it can then be adapted to anime and merchandise. But it is still their system of manga making is to make manga for manga's sake, and then when it's quality, it gets the adaptation. Most of this stuff is like, can this be adapted? And then they go to it. But I digress. Scout seems to put a great deal of effort into marketing their comics to retailers, which is important, and to fans. I don't know about that. But they do. I have seen them hitting shops. They've made noise, and they've gotten to places. They also seem to try all sorts of new things, destigmatize comics as a format, and break through in other ways publishers aren't, like bringing in established creators, for example. TKO does that. It's because they can probably afford it. But let's. I'm very interested
Immortal
on the
Death
next
God
two.
Said. Yet I just was on Alterna Comics stream and learned a lot about Thing and seems like good people. Immortal Death God said. Also, hey Cody.
Howdy.
You're okay.
I'm doing all right. I've done better. Been a hard couple weeks, but I dove into some wonderful fantasy worlds. Been reading like crazy, and so that's kept my ship sailing, and I got some positive stuff done. Thank you so much, and I hope you're doing okay. The publisher also shown tremendous growth in sales, enough to warrant a new headquarters. Well, good for them. When we last checked, their sales continue to rise even during the pandemic. Well, that was kind of when they started, so you would hope that they would continue to rise, especially during the pandemic when more readers were looking for things to read. Offer subscription boxes at a reasonable price, making it easy for people to get to Scout Comics even if they can't or don't want to visit a comic shop. That's a big one because, I'm one of those folks who doesn't have a comic shop within about 80 miles. Deal with Scheinman and Schuster, help get the comics in more places, which just helps. Bookstores is a great place to get comics into. They also have big plans for next year, some fantastic indie titles that will soon get distribution they deserve. We'll see. But again, I haven't ever heard anybody complain about working with Scout. So that's a good thing, but the fact that their main goal is adaptation, again, that's a red flag for me as for my goals as a creator, but it might not be for you. My goal is to create the work myself as best as I can under what I have control so that the message remains pure. Some folks, they want to make a living off of this. I want to, but that's not my first goal. My first goal is to tell the story that needs to be told. Then it would be nice to be able to keep doing it. But we'll see. Relies on crowdfunding somewhat. Many of the series they picked up were self-published via successfully Kickstarter campaigns before Scout signed printing and or distribution deals. In a way, it's proof of concept of customer base. It's true. Open submissions, yes. Let's look at what their submission looks like. Pay, IP, contractual notes. As discussed in the interview linked above and off the record with creators only begin to see a profit once the costs of printing and distribution are repaid to the publisher. While this sort of thing is something some creators had issues with over at Action Lab, and I think Action Lab's the last thing we're going to talk about because it can be really shitty. The cost of printing and distribution can vary from publisher to publisher, and Charlie Stickney even makes a point to say it's worth creators' time to have that discussion with these folks. Scout doesn't pay advances. Well, I don't think any publisher in this industry pays advances anymore, except for maybe Image. Books are 100% creator-owned, and creators can walk away after the terms of the contract are met. That one's really important. I'm actually glad that they made a point to make sure that Yeti had that, because that one's the rough one. That one, that can kill motivation to work. Is that, I'm stuck in this. Why the fuck should I keep doing it? Anywho, Dauntless. I don't know Dauntless. But yeah, I have, there's a few red flags in this one about Scout, but at the end of the day, out of this lower, quote-unquote lower tier of independent publishers, they've worked very hard to have a decent reputation. And so, worth checking out Scout. And Immortal Death God, Alterna did not make this list, and there's plenty of reasons why Alterna didn't make this list because of who it's from. But at the same time, they also have worked hard to be very consistent about their stuff, and I would recommend Alterna as well, but they're not on this, so I don't get to talk about them as much. But I would also second Alterna if they accept. They have, like, I think once a year, Samedi opens submissions. So I just follow Mr. Peter Samedi and see if you can get a submission in if that's something you want to do. Dauntless. I have come across Dauntless, but I do not know of them. They work on graphic novellas, as they keep calling them. Sometimes used developing. They want to do their own crowdfunding platform. Okay, not limiting the story to specific genres, styles. Okay, aims to operate less like and more like a traditional book publisher or film studio. That one's interesting. More than this one, because traditional book publishers can be real fucking pricks. Plans to evolve to publish serial comics, which operate on a monthly subscription platform, develop short stories released a little at a time. Okay. Open to ongoings as well as one-shots and OGNs. Hiring diverse creators is a priority. This is the third studio to talk about that as a selling point, so depends on what you're looking for and what their definition is. They do rely on crowdfunding, so again, I don't see a reason unless they are distributed to deal with these folks, because if you're going to have to do everything yourself anyway. They don't have open submissions, but they might reopen. They're only able to put out so many books. They don't really have a plan for those. They're handpicking creators right now, but if you'd like to contact them, yada, yada, yada.
Said, over here now and I just want less stressed Cody and more Jack Irons.
Oh, less stress me probably will never happen. I wish it would. I wish I had more.
Breakage Lord 1 said, got my friend to read it and he liked it.
Oh, I'm glad. I would love to see more readers. That's why I'm very excited. I might have a supporter for the New Mexico Comic Cons for the next few years. I just need product, right? Like, that's the problem. It's like, I can meet people. I can sell prints really easily. Like, that's no problem. But if you don't have the story, the books to offload, you're not going to leave much of an impression. So I'm hoping I can have that solved by October, and then I can at least start actually meeting and greeting folks. I think that's going to make a better impression than I can here, where it's very quiet.
Lord 1
but we'll see. We'll see.
Said,
heck
yeah.
How do these folks do it? Offers great royalty rates and page rates. Interesting. We let each creative team own as much of their creative rights as possible. That's an interesting phrase. We ask for the right to reprint in order to keep their books in print as long as possible and keep the royalties coming for them as long as possible, which, yeah, that's part of why you sign with the publisher. Sometimes they ask for a percentage of first option rights, which is great, which makes sense if they were able to get enough steam. But again, all these publishers, you'll notice the theme, basically all of them are making comics for adaptation, and that always bugs me. Ahoy wasn't. Ahoy was one that specifically said, no, we just want to make these comics, which is kind of neat. They're a comedy-focused place, but they, so far, the only one who specifically said, yeah, we're open to it, but that's not our goal, which is what I prefer in a publisher. But again, that's different for everybody, as whatever your creative goals are, right? Like, if you can get an animated series out of your independent IP, good on you. Jeff Smith has been trying for like 30 years, and he hasn't been able to. And he has a very well-known, well-sold young adult series. So it's good on you if you can do it. Let me just say that. But I think if that's your primary goal as a comic creator, your ship's not gonna sail as strongly as somebody who just makes comics to make comics. I don't think you'll ever be disappointed if you're doing that. As long as possible. Other than that, we believe even when we are funding every stage of production, that these creators deserve all the praise that comes to them and the perks that come with that. Interesting phrasing. It looks to me, it sounds like they have done comics before and they think that stands out because something that they have released was slightly taken from them, an IP, right? Interesting phrasing there. Now, Mad Cave, they've been around for a while. I really appreciate them as well. They're about on that tier with Scout. I really do appreciate them now. There's a few things. They've been around for several years. They've earned that feeling of being an established indie publisher. Yes, they have. They already have distribution through Diamond, and now they can do it with Simon & Schuster. Excellent. They announced opening submissions for creator-owned comics. That would be great. Shortly after that, Mad Cave announced a new director of sales. Interesting. They have a keen eye for talent and have even published or planning to publish a few comic book Yeti alumni. So he's biased, at least. At least he says he's biased. They run an annual talent search. Yep. They don't rely on crowdfunding. They usually pay up front. That's interesting. Partners with Echo Lake Entertainment with regard to that, if that's something that's going to happen. Again, I haven't seen any of these things that they're talking about with these partnerships actually manifest, Mad Cave or Scout, but okay. And they do have a young adult imprint. They don't rely on crowdfunding. They're open for creative-owned comics. You can submit through that, which is great. Because usually it is just during that submission phase. So it looks like they're hungrier and they really want to see what's out there, which is good. It's a good time probably to submit to them then. That's very cool. Nobody else here has said that they do advances. Creator-owned titles retain 100% ownership of their IP. Also very good. But anything that they actually are hiring people of course they do. So this one and this one is kind of interesting. Does that mean they own 100% of their IP? However, if they had to fund it, you own 0% of it. So why would you want this if you're going to lose this? I don't know. That's interesting. Just a weird order of that as well. Like they tried to separate it, but like that's very interesting. I don't know. Here's Vault. I've heard of Vault as well. They're another one I'd put up there with Mad Cave and Scout. I think they've been around longer. Let me see what time it is. Okay, I only have about a half hour. We'll see if we can get through this. Primary focus is sci-fi and fantasy, with part of the year shifting to horror. They have a horror imprint in particular. They have a young adult imprint. They're looking. This is the God. Most of the publishers have made this point, which means you got to find how they define diversity. But if that's something you're into, there you go. Again, also trying to expand the industry by bringing on talent who is new to comics but has a following elsewhere. Yep. Has a good mind for how to grow their market beyond comics. That's that one. Without relying on that, okay, that's nice. But at the same time, like beyond comics is kind of, again, that's one of my red flags. It's not a red flag for everybody. In fact, it's kind of the dream for most people. Distribution with Diamond, Simon & Schuster, which is what a lot of these folks have. Web platforms help get their comics more places, which is great. Again, if a publisher doesn't have distribution, I can't recommend signing on with them at all. Only has 2 editors running all the books. That's supposed to be a selling point? I guess it depends on how many books they're putting out. Though they've only been around for a few years, their growth and success is staggering. Recently secured some serious financing, which will likely help them grow even more. And I'll see how that goes. Nope. But there's a anonymous. They pay an upfront page rate and then a percentage of the back end money after the expenses are covered. Things like variant covers are charged to creative teams, so that amount can be pretty high. So why would you want your variant covers? Well, you got to have it, but we're charging you for it. I don't like that. I would have to see how that interaction goes, but since it came from here, I don't think it went well. Cast Iron, I've come across them. Again, I'll put the link to this in chat in case anybody wants to actually check out the other links that I'm not going to. Please do, because you're going to get a lot more of the promotional and what they actually want to talk about through these kind of links here where they actually sat down with the folks. Instead of just compiling the information. Small, highly selective group of titles, impeccable taste, and that's very confusing to me, but okay. No, ouch, but it's possible. There's some very hardworking individuals who could pull this off. She's supposed to help with that. I don't know. This one. So far, it's a lot of red flags. After the goals achieved, takes care of printing and publishing, distributing. Yeah, that's nice. Loves character-driven stories, the comment of human experience. That's nice. Wants to produce comics. My debut career, looking to push the comics forward. Not necessarily looking to grow or make a ton of money. Just wants to produce beautiful works. That helps me a lot from the other points. That was a point that she wanted to put forward. Very cool. Realize crowdfunding, yes. Open submissions, no. But maybe at some point. Comics published basically a joint venture. My goal is to make a beautiful book. Castmere Books does not make more money ever than the creator. Well, that's good to know. The copyright remains with the author, creator, artist. I do not take the film adaptation rights. I just take the print and digital rights. She has a very specific goal. They don't have submissions open, but maybe worth checking out. Yeah. Source Point, all over the place with Source Point. I don't think Red 5's on here either. But it seems where other publishers are looking to grow via IP farming or trial and error marketing, SourcePoint is putting most of their eggs in the convention basket. Interesting. Surprised to see that they had a table at a small con in my neck of the woods, but these guys are willing to travel and make these face-to-face connections. Okay, seem willing to take chances on new creators' books. Yep. Wow, they don't have much of anything here. Okay, Aftershock, heard of Aftershock as well. Brand ambassadors represent them. Great uniform branding on their comics. Okay, lots of respect. Okay, I don't know what that means. Good distribution. That's great. They hire for their work.
Eliza Barr said.
Oh God,
sorry, I don't know what we're looking at, but LOL at seeing comic book Yeti. What a pompous ass.
Probably, but you know, again, when I started this, I kind of made that point, is that a lot of people aren't gonna like this guy, but this in particular is still a service to independent comics, listing publishers, their page rates, investigating that, putting out this information. But you showed up at the right time. I think Action Lab is here in a few, and the fact that they made this list, I have a lot to say about. But anyway, AWA Studios, I know AWA, yes it was, claims to offer the best deals in the industry, provide them with resources to help do their work, and freedom, blah, 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 blah. The whole how they do this is very unclear. It's very true.
If only Brian was streaming, he'd stream snipe you so hard.
It's alright, I gotta rush this in about a half hour anyway. They also state they want to fix the comic industry. That'd be great. I've had good interactions with AWA as a whole, even though some of their titles, again, when Mike Diodato actually does line art, wonderful. But most AWA titles that he does is pencils over 3D models, and all the soul and movement and like energy you can put into a panel is just sucked out by those 3D models. So I'm not a big fan of that. They have a creative council, which I don't like that, but I guess that could just be considered like the editors understand each other and try to work for the same goal, which could be a good thing, could be a very terrible thing. They have a retailer council as well. They want whatever. Nope, they do fund you.
Eliza Barr.
Submissions paid doesn't work.
The only thing AWA published worth reading is Fight Girls.
Yeah, I heard good things about, oh God, what was that one? It was their attempt at getting a kind of a Spider-Man feel title. I forgot that individual, but I heard good things about that one. Yeah, we're about to get Action Lab, that'll be fun. Oh God, there's another one. There was one that came out slightly after Jack got some steam, which was kind of funny to me, by Diodato. Post-apocalyptic western with very odd that it came. Redemption was it. I have no idea how it was, but it was kind of funny that it came out so quickly after that. So I don't know how that goes, but there you go. We have no idea on any of this.
Breakage Lord 1 said, I knew I recognized you, Eliza Barr. Are you a mod on every indie comic creator / publisher?
I don't think he's on every, but the folks who know him trust him, because he's a cool, honest comic book fan. I know I've appreciated that connection for a bunch of different reasons. I did a wonderful interview with him for Jack 4's campaign. That was just a heck of a lot of fun. Very direct, and he had his shit together, unlike a lot of folks who I've done interviews for. He's been a consistent supporter of my work and a lot of other cool works around me.
Eliza Barr.
Very cool cat.
Said,
there you go.
I do what I do, when I do it.
Exactly. But no, he's a cool cat. He's a cool cat. I definitely recommend checking out his channel. It is Eliza Barr, both on Twitch if you want to watch him game live and interact, or he's also on YouTube, Eliza Barr, as well, if you want to catch comic book reviews or live streams about comics, and then also like replays and such from his gaming. Very cool cat. But Action Lab's on here. This is the only differentiator they have. They have subsidiaries for comics of a more adult nature or those targeting younger audiences. They have comic imprints. A lot of the folks we talk about have imprints. That's your main thing, huh? That differentiates you when most of the folks we talk about have it. Okay. Relies on crowdfunding. No. They rely on no funding. Open submissions? Uncertain. Yeah, because their website doesn't really exist anymore. Pay IP contractual notes. Disgusting. Eliza Barr did some wonderful videos diving into the contracts and just giving snippets of how shit they are. This is just an example. Comic book profits are split only after initial printing and distribution, which they decide and either lie about or do not produce. So that's fun. The cost to make the comics is up to the comic creators to repay before they see profits, which is, again,
Eliza Barr
the numbers may be fudged.
Said, I really gotta get a Pacer account and look at the filings in that lawsuit.
Thank you, C. Yeti. At least
Breakage Lord 1 said, cute logo though.
I think that's the only thing
Dollar
they got
coins.
going for them. Rickage Lord.
Elbow bump.
Oh, howdy, Dollar. Welcome. We're getting towards the end of this one, but thank you for stopping in, brother. I hope you've been well. If Yeti did not put something like this on here, I would have been really pissed. The fact that Action Lab even made it to this pisses me off, especially if they've done the investigative work. Just don't give them air. Let them die at this point, because what they've done to creators can be really, really shitty. Let's talk about Ablaze. I have no idea who they are. This website makes it sound like they search for talent from across the globe and have a desire. So he didn't even interview him. He just looked at the website. Several other titles definitely have a darker theme. No real house style to the art, and it's good to see different styles represented. Yeah, it looks like he just looked at the website and wanted to support
Coins
him.
said, read your 10,000 emails.
Awesome, thank you. Relies on crowdfunding, yes. They don't. Yeah, he just looks at the website because there's no more information. Second site. One of the few black-owned and run publishers in the industry. There's a better one. Oh god, what are they called? Godhood Publishing. I like them. Focuses on hero, superhero, science fiction. May recently switch back to horror only. May have. So that's, again, I think he just looked at it as ties to Caliber and Antarctic. That makes sense. Antarctic's not on here though, which is funny you mention them, but then actually go looking at them. Until they closed submissions, one of the few places where early comic creators had a chance to get published. Okay. Uncertain. Recently closed. Uncertain. So I'm guessing this imprint's pretty dead. And that was it. Okay. The list is not exhaustive. There wasn't much info in it. Most of the publishers do not accept submissions, so it's not that helpful.
Evoluzian is black-owned and run. I
there you
don't
go.
know why that matters though.
I agree. I agree with you,
Marcel
Eliza
is a
Barr.
cool cat except for his weird feud with some of his creators.
He's got a lot of weird feuds. Like, I don't even think it's just his creators. The guy can be egocentric. So I know his heart's in the work, and I think he takes it very personally in a lot of cases. But he puts out consistent work, and he puts out a lot of cool work. So definitely check out Evolution Publishing. Totally do check them out. I do recommend that he keep consistently, since I've been here, has been putting out work, and that's wonderful. But yeah, so that was this. Again, links in the chat if you want to read any of their interviews or any of that, if you're interested in these publishers. There's a few I hadn't really paid attention to, but it seems like there's reasons for that. There's a lot that were skipped over. Again, notables are Antarctic Press and Alterna Comics, but it makes sense why they were skipped over. A few, if not most of these publishers actually aren't creating comics for comics. They're creating comics for adaptations later to make money to survive. I get it. But I think that is, for some people, is a negative red flag. Again, I'm one of those people. But for most people, that's what they want. They don't make comics to make comics. And that's always breaks my heart. But it is what it is. I get it. You can't survive off of comics in most cases. It doesn't happen. So I get it. It's just a sad fact. These were the only guys. Ahoy was the only one who made a point of saying that, like, sure, we'd love an adaptation, but that's not why we do it. And I loved that was a differentiator. I liked that. but they produce comedy stuff, and I don't think they're taking submissions or anything. And I don't know if any of their stuff's really my style either. But nonetheless, I liked that they were the only one here that were willing to say, yeah, we're making comics because we like making comics.
El Crudo said, "What up?"
Not much.
Eliza Barr said, "LOLTKO only exists to try to get adaptations made."
No, exactly. They're on this list. We talked about them. That's very true because it was founded by a writer, a movie screenwriter, right? And that was his point. He's like, oh, well, I got these connections. I can get this done. As far as I'm aware, none of these publishers who said they have these connections and can get things done have gotten anything done. None of them. Scout, that was one of their main bits. As far as I'm aware, nothing's happening there. It might take a while to get done, right? That can work. But as far as I'm aware, nothing. God, who was the TKO, of course? Nothing that I'm aware of. And they had some good shit under their banner, TKO. Some. I think like 3 of their titles I really liked. And then like the other, 15 or whatever aren't that great, in my opinion. But these guys were another one who's like, we want to make movies. They want to make movies. They want to make movies. Who was the other one I'm thinking of? Mad Cave. They also, like, as far as I'm aware, I haven't seen anything. Like, I've put out more animation than most of these people. I can't believe I can say that. I put out more animation than most of these folks. That's crazy. I can't even believe that I'm saying that. But it's true. Oh my God. So, anyway, at the end of the day, man, this is a resource. Check it out if you're interested. But we'll go back to this quote right here, which I 100% agree with. Hypocritical or not. Pointless if you don't make any money. And a lot of these folks are like, we're going to make money first because we're paying to produce and distribute your work, right? So it makes sense. But anyway, if they can't provide you a living wage from your comic, then tell them to fuck off and self-publish. Again, if you're making your own creator-owned independent work, I highly recommend you understand every part of the process so that you can sail your own ship, because then you come to these folks with more leverage because you don't need them. And most publishers exist because they want your creative value. And so if they can't offer anything beyond that, then don't do them. So we circle around to this quote here from the wonderful Tonic Mole here, and that'll cover that part of the stream. Just insane. Well, you've got your own, man. I get you.
Said, could never imagine submitting to a publisher.
And that's the word too, right? Submit. That's always bugged me. I get it, like, there's different connotations of submit, but the wording and choice of wording that's always been used always fascinates me to begin with, right? Submitting.
Eliza Barr.
Yes, exactly.
Submit to Eliza Barr today.
Right, it sounds, it's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different when you think of it that way, instead of like, oh, I'm proposing my work, I'm pitching my work. No, you're submitting. That's always been a weird one to me. Not that I haven't jumped through those circles, and I've jumped through many of those circles. There's a couple publishers I haven't, but the ones I have, it's because I did want to try and work with them. But we'll see what the future holds. Again, beginning of this talked about like why I barely got to a stream this week before not being able to. Been a roller coaster for a while, but I've been reading a lot and trying to structure in my mind what the real work I need to do is, and how to accomplish it is the big one. And I think it's very possible. Again, even during the stream, I came up with what I think I need to do as the next step.
Eliza Barr.
But we'll see.
I still don't know what actual value Wicked provides you. You can just hide boxes of unsold comics behind the love seat you're sitting on. Many K.
I wish. So I try and be professional. there was a stream Brian was doing where we got into depth a little bit more about it, and I was far more unprofessional than I will be on this channel about these things, because there are certain aspects of that which I at best dislike. But if I continue to air grievances on that, then it helps no one. And these folks have done a lot of good for me over the years, whether folks have seen it directly or not. They have. So I'm trying to find a balance between loyalty and success and my own personal desires with my work. And they've got time is the best I'm gonna say. They've got a lot. They've had and continue to have a good chunk of time. Because I am, again, not coming from the position of strength I'd like to, even though at this point, as I was saying about Tonic Mole's bit, is I can sail my own ship at this point. It's just how do I want to approach that? And right now I've got time.
Dollar Coins said.
Ironverse Comics.
Except for Coyote. Coyote is freelance and independent.
Yeah, basically that's just Dollar Coin ship. Howdy, Draw and Talk. You missed like all the
Dollar
juicy
Coins
gossip I had to say about
said
these indie publishers.
They only own Jack license.
Yep.
Draw and Talk said. Hey.
Hey, indeed.
Dollar Coins said. Not expansive.
So just
Draw
rewind if you're interested. But it was on this article.
Damn it.
It was on this article by Comic Book Yeti, just looking, and then all my opinions on these guys.
Eliza Barr said. Time to stop bad-mouthing Tyler.
So, okay, I haven't watched because I didn't want anybody to influence my opinion. I know Eliza Barr did a review on Girl with the Mega Fists. I've read Girl with the Mega Fists.
What's funny is I'll be published by Band of Bards next year, LOL.
Okay, interested in that. All right, well, good on you, Tyler. I hope this works out for you. I never know, right? I never know. I'm glad that they made a point of that on here. They're going only to Zoop, which worries me. Zoop is so very well controlled, but that they're going in there, maybe that's a connection thing. It's none of my bit. One-shot graphic novel. Okay.
Draw and Talk.
Hopefully it works out, man. Like, I'm very hopeful for that.
It's just a one-shot graphic novel.
Like, if you're going to dip your toes into this level of publishing, like, that's the way.
We're going
what I did was dumb. Interesting. Huh, okay. Well, you know better kind of what's going on there. But that's weird because they're the only one who made a point of, well, we're walking away from it due to this. Very interesting. But, again, I could comment on my own publishing thing, like, in depth. And I'm not going to do that unless I have true cause to do it. Again, there was a Twitch stream that Brian did that I was watching that we got a bit more in depth in it than I should have as a trying to be a professional. But at the end of the day, and I've been talking about this, and I'll keep talking about it more, there's a better and bigger ship I wish to sail, and the idea is gestating, and I'm so excited to dive into it. I actually, during the stream, thought of the next step to get there, so I'm super excited.
Is the KS blockchain proof of work or proof of stake?
I have no idea, right? I have no idea. To be honest, I have no investment on blockchain technology one way or the other. The only investment I had was with NFTs and art theft, which it quieted down, but I don't think it ever stopped. That's been my big stickler that I can't be cool with.
Said. There was an Alterna stream the other night that I need to go back and comment on one part of it.
Interesting.
Alas, tonight I'll be at the movies again, so I might not get to it until tomorrow.
It's been nice going to the movies again. I haven't gone to too many, but it's been nice, that experience again. I did miss it, especially going with friends, which is the only time I do it. But interesting, Tyler. Good luck with that, and I hope it goes well. You're approaching it the right way in terms of length. If you're dipping your toes into small independent publishing, that's the right way. I hope they have distribution. Doesn't say if they do or not, but I would assume if they didn't, you wouldn't sign. But nonetheless, you don't have to, again, professionalism, you don't have to talk about it. I don't know if there's any NDAs or anything involved. Luckily, I don't have NDAs. I can talk about anything I want, but I don't for a few different reasons, except for when I'm in a bad mood and Brian's like, dude, what the fuck? And Eliza Barr just kind of did a dude, what the fuck? But I can't on this channel in particular, especially if one other aspect that I hope does happens. Anyone with an ape-fueled action comic, you know where to pitch
El
it.
Crudo.
Prophesize Productions!
Anyone with an ape-fueled action comic, you know where to pitch it. Draw and Talk said, I believe they'll be most likely in Diamond.
It's always a potential.
Potentially. I'll tell you why I'm doing it. They're paying the whole team to make it.
So that's the thing too, right? If you can get an advance to just make a comic and get paid to make comics, like, do it. Do it, man. Make more comics. I want to hear those stories. And so that's great. I would do it too, especially if it's a one shot, no big fucking problems with that. No like ongoing problems. I very much recommend that. That's cool. Like, I would love to get paid to make comics. I've never been paid to make... No, not true. Mr. El Crudo has paid me to make comics. And Mr. Adam Lawson has paid me to make comics. I apologize. I apologize very much, especially since one of them is in here. I have been paid to make comics, and it is a nice feeling. But in terms of my own work, I haven't. I just get to the sense of satisfaction of reading and seeing a product manifest. That's my main bit. In fact, I've lost quite a bit of cash making comics. But I've been blessed to be able to without, like, sinking. So, anywho, folks, publishing in independent, like, again, make sure you can steer your own ship first. You can sail your own ship. That's the first thing you should do. I recommend anybody who wants to get into comics to do a creator-owned comic from top to bottom. Particularly if you can do the art and lettering and everything like Tyler does. Like, that's what I recommend doing. It's not the only way. There's a million paths up the mountain. And whatever works for you, worked for you. Like, I don't disparage that. But my recommendation would be, if you can do everything yourself, or at least have an idea of what everything entails and have interacted with every aspect of comic book creation, then you can approach these publishers with a more I don't need you footing, which is super important for having any sort of leverage, because publishers exist to profit off of your creative expertise. If that's all you have to offer, then once they have you, they fucking whoop. Dance party over. I don't know who heard that. The maestro was just tired. I didn't address the maestro or robot lady once. I think the AI is just like, pay attention.
Dollar coins.
That's part of the fun of these, though, and having that mechanic in
Boogie.
here. I don't know when it heard that.
Eliza Barr said, what the heck, LUL?
That's for celebration. That's for celebration. I spent like 4 hours on a stream doing that one day. It was a lot of fun, and so it's staying integral. It just depends if VoiceBot hears the particular phrase or not. I guess it did. I didn't say it. I didn't say anything relative to it, but VoiceBot is AI, so it's just hearing what it hears, and my accent and all of that fun stuff might not work. But that's what that was. If you folks actually want it, I'm happy to put it back on. It's way more entertaining than me. So I put so much time. But nonetheless, like, I recommend not hitching your ship, especially if you have an ongoing dream, to any independent publisher that cannot understand what that dream is and not able to put forth the effort to assist you in making it, where you're basically left on your own. I don't recommend it. We'll see over the next couple years. I'll have quite a lot to say. Said, good or bad.
I think you're pretty entertaining.
I appreciate that. We'll see. We'll see over the years. I definitely, I just like being here, putting in the work, documenting this stuff, because at the end of the day, I want to provide as much value for this journey as possible, especially for independent creators.
Dollar coins said, I am the knight.
He is the knight. I would have put a K in front of that. He's my white knight. No, he's my shining knight, come in to sweep in and make sure that I know what the fuck I'm doing one way or another. No, major inspiration. Apparently Cactus Coyote, which is a fuck ton of volumes, will be done and written this year, which is incredible. major inspiration. He knows what he wants to do with the story, and he has done it. So
Dollar coin.
once we can get into the production bit
Said,
of that, it could be very
That's
good.
only in Elden Ring. Draw
All
and
right,
talk.
let's see. Here we go.
Said, what people forget is the amount of time is needed for a creator. It can take a while for an IP to finally get the attention of the people. But you need books first.
Yep, you have to have something to show. I lucked out. I got in a time where awareness on indie comics was there. People were looking for something else because mainstream had failed them. I will never deny that. I don't think I could have gotten any eyes any earlier, and it would have been very difficult to get eyes later. But at the same time, like, you can't get any eyes without something to show. I think a lot of creators and publishers, they can talk a lot. There's a lot of talking. You'll find that again and again. It is so easy to talk, so easy to dream. It is very, very, very difficult to actually put in the work to do it and to sail the ship and take the lumps and grow and learn. But it is so satisfying to be able to do it. And I'm so glad I'm seeing more and more people able to rise to that occasion and get their work out. I wish there was more success out there. But it is what it is. Again, I had a wonderful, very long talk with a certain individual about recent drama on Monday, and how I kind of feel like it's kind of sadly an inevitability in the space that I wish could be mitigated, but I don't see how it could be. And it's a sad fact, and most creators hopefully won't ever even be near that spectrum of indie comic creation. But if you are aware of it and understand it, hopefully as your success grows, you can find confidence in your work to sail your ship through it with grace and dignity, and people will see that. Again, that's part of how I survived, though I wouldn't say I sailed through grace and dignity, my biggest ship. Like, I did not. The timing of it just did not allow me to think in those terms. But nonetheless, it can be done, and I think it's more survivable than people think. It's just the darkness there is really, really bad. And I don't think it should exist in this space, but it's a business, so it's gonna. And it's not illegal, so it's gonna. So, anywho, if you have a publisher backing, all these kind of things, you don't have to be the one in the fight. And that's the other thing a publisher could do for you, that I doubt most would. But nonetheless, like, that's something that they could, they could allow. But
El Crudo,
but it doesn't work that way.
said, best way to get eyes unfortunately is to talk a bunch of trash, or boobs, which isn't unfortunate at all.
It's either trash, right, which I have some things to say and I could always say, but again, I try and keep the professionalism as high as possible. I want to create a non-antagonistic space for folks to create comics. And that's my biggest problem, is that most of the spaces in which you can sprout out of comics and get like a damn good chunk of success are very antagonistic. It's an us versus them. Either side, whatever you want to talk about. There's infinite sides, to be fair, but they end up getting generalized into about two, and it's oh man, it's a rough ride. But anywho, I'm looking forward to finding a way to sail this ship to better seas over time. And we'll see how that goes, what form that takes, again, over time. I've got to be patient, but I also have to be persistent and keep my eye on that guiding star. That's the biggest one. That's why I've been reading. I've been trying to figure out how to tell the story I need to tell with the most bang for the buck for the reader, at the same time as being feasible for myself in comic creation. And that is the fight. That is the battle. And so we'll see if I figure that out in the next couple of years. Anywho, folks, sadly I gotta go just as people show up. I got like 15 minutes at most. So if there's any other topics you want to talk about, now's the time. check out that article from Comic Book Yeti. I know some people don't like him. Again, that particular bit was a service, so I appreciated that. I had no problem showing off that. But again, different people, different opinions, and I don't care as long as there's a net positive out there. And I think this particular expression was a net positive, even though a lot of it didn't have any information, which, anything that's well, this is just like the one before, but okay, it's a different publisher. Most of them didn't have submissions open, so that wasn't that useful. But I do recommend Mad Cave is opening up their submissions a bit wider from what that article said. I recommend them. Scout is open for submissions. I do recommend checking them out if that's your goal. My team has had positive interactions with Scout. I've had positive interactions with Mad Cave in terms of the creators and the product they put out. But anywho, it's a wild thing out there. If you're a new creator, just create your book yourself. Especially if you're at that smaller scale level, it's much more feasible to learn those lessons early than it is to learn them after you've already jumped into the deep end, like I did. I was able to learn how to swim, and now I know every aspect and can do everything myself if I wished to.
El Crudo
said, at the same time,
later,
I just figure it out. Take care, El Crudo. Let's see, are we hitting an hour 50? I think I'm going to try and shoot for that 10 more minutes, then I'll be out of here. Just make it even 2 hours. I don't have much else to say. I wish I had some more updates on Jack. Again, like I said at the beginning of this stream, at the moment, I think Maxie is trying to finish off Kids and Monsters. I would love him to, because I think he only had about 11 pages left. So I'd love him to just have that behind him so he can focus on Jack. But we'll see. I'm really excited for Kids and Monsters. I'm so glad he gets to work with Mike Spicer, who's an incredible colorist. I'm very happy for Gifted Rebels and Adam Lawson with their launch of Exiled with Wesley Snipes. I did a stream earlier when he announced he was doing that about celebrities and comics and my thoughts on that. If folks are interested, just look up Celebrities and Comics on our channel here and you'll find that stream. My main thoughts on that is if you can use it well, great. I would love comics to have a more mainstream audience, which theoretically the potential is there when you partner with such individuals. I haven't seen it happen. Like Berserker, I don't think brought new fans into comics. I think it just made sure that comic fans who were Keanu Reeves fans had something to look at. I watched it with The Expendables, right? Also from
Dollar Coins.
Rich C. Meyer and Stallone.
Said, I've been waiting for Coyote to be colored for 20 years.
So I think
Eliza Barr said,
yeah, has it?
BRZRKR has been 95% lame.
Yeah, which is good because theoretically it was competing with Jack's story in terms of concepts. But from what I've seen and heard as well, it didn't blow up, right? It didn't do what they wanted it to. At most, I can even see that. Again, I'm excited for Exiled. I hope that works great. It is definitely Adam Lawson's biggest success. I was very sad to see Kids and Monsters actually make less than my last two campaigns has, because it was 72 pages. It's still Maxi art, so I'm kind of thinking either Maxi lowered his page rate for Adam, or Adam is taking a loss on Kids and Monsters. It sucks because it was a really cool young adult idea. So I do recommend. I think Kids and Monsters is still in demand. If you can support that book, please do. It's helping Maxi make those more mainstream connections at the very least, and it's a wonderful gift that my art team and the folks who I have come up with continue to get work. Now on the Coyote for 20 years, that's an issue. Steve is now full-time colorist, and he is actually has put out tweets where he is actually having physical problems with doing so much coloring per day. So that's part of it now, Dollar. But how long you've been waiting, I don't think that was part of it then. So I don't know what's up with that. And I don't know what's going to be up with Jack's colors come that, but we'll ride that ship out together. We have every bump we've come across with Ironverse Comics. I'm sure we'll be fine. We'll figure it out. That's the one thing I have faith in, is that we'll keep this ship afloat. It's just gonna gonna take time and having to figure out what we need to do as we need to do it. I did speak of wanting to partner with an artist for one page a week on a different thing for Ironverse Comics, so we have a consistent release, even if it's not a monthly thing. I would like to do that, but I need another artist. And I might have a financier for that particular endeavor. So that's my next step towards this rebirth thing. So again, I've been reading One Piece, just finished the Water 7 arc, the rebirth of the Merry Go and Thousand Sunny thing.
I got 20 new pinups to do and I need a faster colorist.
Yep, we need a more diverse art team at this point. And we need the number one thing that we've needed. Maxie's always been on board, right? But it's just time constraints, and how he works is like I work pretty often, which is sporadic, which works very well when you're doing one issue a year or whatever. Does not work when you're trying to build a powerful IP and brand. So I've been able to be relatively consistent, but our actual comic expression has not been able. So I'm looking to change that, and part of that would be another colorist. But the other part is I would like to put out a weekly one-page black and white something from Ironverse Comics that hopefully could be compiled later. That's one way to express it, right? I can't afford to do the mangaka 12 to 13 pages a week kind of thing, but I could do that, right? So I think that's the first step in the right direction for consistency. If we can get consistency, then hopefully we see growth. If we can get growth, then hopefully we can see funding. That consistency, however, can maybe be paid for with exclusivity on something. So I'll be looking into that. I just need to find the right artist for it, and that's a start. But in terms of coloring, we might need to find another colorist, and there are a lot of lovely colorists out there that I've met and worked with, but the dedication has always been the bit. And for dedication, funding is definitely a lubricant for dedication, right? Job security is definitely a lubricant for dedication. So that's what we got to work towards, brother. That's what we got to work towards one way or another, and at least have one way to get something there. I think it's a shot in the dark, but I was made an offer a while back that I never really followed through on because I didn't know how to do it. But during the stream, I thought about it, and I think I know how to do it. So I will follow up on that. We'll see what we can make out of it. That's a foot. That's a step in the right direction. And towards the ship I want to sail. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's a hell of a journey we're on, brother. A hell of a journey we're all on in indie comics, whether you're reading them, watching them, supporting them, creating them. It's heck of a thing. Heck of a thing. 3 minutes. All right. So topics today were what the break was about, which was both an emotional and mind break, as well as a reading and thinking break, trying to understand why I love these particular stories as much as I do, and how I can integrate ideas, concepts, and the way they were expressed into my own work. The fact that I think we need a Phoenix rebirth over here at Ironverse Comics, at least from my end of it, to reignite what we're doing and to more honestly express my own goal of it, and how that'll manifest is going to take time, but that is where I am thinking and guiding at the moment. We talked about independent publishers, and some of them from Comic Book Yeti, and some of them that weren't talked about. We talked about one of them that's on there that I recommend you stay very far away from, which is Action Labs. And boobs are great.
Said. Boobs are great.
Boobs are great. Talking trash, I think, is a way to get these things done. People like anger. People like to be motivated. They like their biases confirmed, especially the more extreme their bias is, that they may be slightly uncertain of because it's so extreme, but it's what they feel, and then they feel somebody else has that extreme view, and they're just like, oh, well, it's not as extreme. Pursue truth, not emotion, folks. I know emotion's more gratifying, but truth is a sure footing for living than emotion. Anywho, Thanks for showing up,
Dollar
EX8.
Coins said, in order to keep Coyote secure from contract shenanigans, we will be going within cooperation with Heavy Terminus Shipping.
So part of this
CO Publishing.
Other idea I have that maybe we could secure that consistent funding for, Dollar, would... There's an end of it which could use the word lubricate again. An end of that you could offer that could lubricate that. So I'll talk about that with you at some point. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, these are ideas that may not come to fruition, but would be cool if I could get done.
Eliza Barr said, Cody likes the L word.
EX8. What would be another word that's
I'm a new fan.
Equitable? Let me look.
Love what are you doing for the community?
Oh, thank you, EX8. I really appreciate that. I've been working hard for years at this, and I've always tried to stay true to my intent with it, and I think I've done a good job. I certainly haven't changed.
Eliza Barr
just gotten better.
Said,
facilitate.
Facilitator.
Facilitate. We can use that word.
Dollar Coins said, liquidity.
Yeah, that's a big one. Thesaurus. Let's find some other words real quick while we're finishing this off. We got a minute. Synonyms and antonyms. Smooth out. Okay, that helps. But then cream, smear, slick. Yeah, that's not what I want. Let's try here. To grease the wheels. I guess that one works.
Dollar Coins said,
God, there's not that many directly, but facilitate's pretty good. Facilitate. I'll take facilitate.
EX8 said, quick question before you go.
Oh, sure.
How do you find an editor?
Depends. For instance, I offer and currently have editorial services on offer. The rate depends on my interest in the project, as well as the scope of the project and the intent of the project. But you look and ask, right? There are some professional comic editors. I'm going to say professional. They work in the indie space. It can be difficult. You can put out calls for editors. Most people work with friends, which I don't quite recommend, depending on the situation. Dollar Coins acts as a editor on my end, but I'm very stubborn. So I have the input, but do I utilize it? He'd say mostly no. I'd say yes, but it probably is mostly no. At the same time, it depends on what kind of editor you're looking for. There's story editors who help you with your structure and storytelling. There are more like scripting editors who would help more with the grammar and the pronunciation. There's production editors who can help you with that end of it. There's sometimes an editor is simply motivational to keep you on track, right? A good editor does basically all of these things, and that is a unicorn in independent comics in particular, and it's one that is probably worth whatever rate they're asking. But it's very rare. One of my pet peeves is seeing an editorial credit on an independent comic and me finding all these kinds of holes. Finding the funk. The funk. It heard that term and turned that on. VoiceBot just wants attention. I'm not talking to it enough. But yeah, different kinds of editors. What I'd first figure out is what kind of editor you'd like, and then go looking for people's work who those aspects have been shown to you.
Dollar Coins.
Right? And then go from there.
Cody walks Army of Doggos theme.
That is what it is. That is exactly that theme. Maestro. Okay. So I'm going to do this for a minute because I need the satisfaction of it. And then we're going to end stream. I appreciate it. EX8, my DMs and message places are always available. Just go to contact on ironversecomics.com if there is a particular social media platform you'd like to contact us, and I'm happy to, as I have time, fill you more in on what help you more with that editor bit. I'm happy to do that. I find most people see the rates that kind of should be asked for, and they kind of shy away. But nonetheless, if nothing else, I would like to, if I can help, I'd like to help in whatever form I can find the time to help. So just get a hold of me. Twitter's the easiest, but anywhere to contact, feel free. And so prepare your ears, because I need this fulfillment.
Super thanks, bro.
And then we're just gonna end it. I thank you folks for joining me. I'm Cody. 4 it turned it on. We used to have no other music on, so it's not a big cacophony. We're gonna hear the bass line a little bit, because now I need that fulfillment too.
Said. Don't do it, Cody.
I'm gonna do it. We're just gonna wait a couple bars. Oh, doesn't have the good one. We're gonna wait one full measure.
Eliza Bar said.
Yeah, prepare it.
Oh, no.
Prepare your ears. Didn't do it. Okay, we're almost done with the measure. Then I'm gonna turn this off. The funk. Okay. That's enough fulfillment, but I need this. I think we all need this. Eliza Bar doesn't need it, but I don't care. I think he thinks he doesn't need it, but he needs it. Dance party. Dance party over. I got my measure out of that. I just needed the measure out of it. I just needed a little bit of fulfillment because it turned on by itself. And that's just a tease. A tease for all of us. Who needs to be teased? All right, folks. I'm Cody. Have been Cody. Will be Cody. With Ironverse Comics. Said. And I'll catch you next time I get a
social
chance.
DIST,
Maybe later today. Probably
social
not.
DIST virtual hug you gothies.
I do got this. So take care. And I'll catch you folks later on that rusty Ironverse Comics trail. Adios, amigos. And vaya con Dios.